You're perfect to the core, but I'm broken. We're creatures of habit, in love with the light. Every sense is numb. The well I'm in runs so deep. A heartbeat fades around the void, but nothing cuts through the words I can't take back. But you shine in the absence of color. Time stands still, I want it forever, but I'm fatally fractured. Walking on the wind, and I'm faithless, hiding in the shade of night, afraid to meet my own dead eyes. The city's look stranger, 10,000 miles the world away, but nothing cuts through the words I can't take back. But you shine in the absence of color. Time stands still, I want it forever, but I'm fatally fractured. Shine in the absence of color. Time stands still, I want it forever. I feel you drift away, fading into gray. Can't rearrange all the pieces that break. It's written in your eyes, what's left I'll never know. I'll never move on, I must let you go. You shine in the absence of color. Time stands still, I want it forever, but I'm fatally fractured. Can't rearrange all the pieces that break. Shine in the absence of color.
Welcome, everyone, to the True Biblical Cosmology Debate, where we have Dustin Nemos going against our one and only Ronnie Shine Harris, or RJ Shine. How are you guys doing this evening, and are you ready to prove which model is the true biblical cosmology? Let's throw it over to you, Dustin. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And yeah, I'm ready.
Ronnie, how do you feel?
I'm really excited. Thank you, Dustin, for joining and sharing your biblical cosmology. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Please be respectful in the chat. Please leave comments below. If anybody else would like to debate after this, we're open. I'm pretty sure Dustin is too, but he does want to actually debate against people that have credible channels. I'm sure he can get into that. And yeah, thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, so I'm going to be your moderator this evening, everyone, and I'm going to make sure that this is a fair fight. Everybody knows that these debates these days usually end up turning into dumpster fires, and we're not going to let that happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll jump in and keep order if I have to, but what we have here is these two contenders for the true biblical cosmology. They each want to come with introductions, and then they have a presentation. And once we've done the introductions and the presentation, we'll take a song break. when we come back, we'll do all the back and forth, and we'll give each other the time to respond to each other. And once we've gone through all that and we're said enough, we'll do our conclusions and we'll wrap it up there. Is there any questions? Is that what we agreed to, everyone?
Correct.
Sounds good.
All right. So to start off, let's go ahead and have Dustin give his intro, and then we'll throw it over to Ronnie.
Okay.
I'm no one, just a witness in the wilderness, shouting out that my people are perishing for lack of this knowledge. And I'm here to represent God's word, that there is an enclosed, flat, biblical, geocentric, stationary, young, hollow earth with a firmament on top that keeps us in an enclosed system from which we can never escape and from which no aliens or anything can ever enter. Space is a lie.
Is there anything else you want to add to your intro, or?
No, I think my reputation speaks for itself.
All right. Well, then over to you, Ron.
Right. Okay. So unlike many other debaters, I take really strong positions no others are willing to take a position on, like biblical cosmology. And it's just one of my positions. But I think it is very important because I've seen for the last 8 years a group of people that call themselves flat earthers attempt to connect the Bible to a single pole model that was just falsified by Will Duffy in Antarctica. Not only did I discover that Earth is a plane and not a planet back in 2015, which is part of what I call fundamental truth number 1, but also 8 years ago, I explained to Jeranism how the sun rising south of east and setting south of west from the fall equinox to the spring equinox, south of the equator, absolutely debunks a single pole Earth, which led me to also standing on what I call fundamental truth number 2, which has to do with a group of people that claim to be flat earthers that promote a single pole model that have been debunked, or that we have been debunking for the last 8 years. They claim that the single pole model is biblical too. What we have here is a disagreement between two people, but defending that the Bible has the correct cosmology. So yes, the great news here is that there's no way for the Bible to lose in this competition, but we have two entirely different models of Earth as a plane, and only one of them can be correct. What I'm going to do is show that in order to apply the Bible to a single pole pressurized pizza dome, specific mistranslations needed to be added to the Bible when the King James English version was released. Most importantly, the word firmament. Along with the translation errors, I'm going to point out that only the SBVR model is capable of truly representing the cosmology of the Bible. In the wake of the final experiment, when a whole bunch of people have finally been forced to recognize that the single pole pressurized pizza dome model that has been pushed by characters like Jeranism has been completely falsified, and Geron himself is now saying that Earth has to be a space ball, I consider this to be the most important topic to debate at the moment. Not only were we able to predict something like the final experiment would come along and that it would be a false dichotomy psyop with fundamental truth number 2, but we have been pointing out for the last 8 years that materiality itself is in question, and that atomism, or that the belief in atoms, is Kabbalah witchcraft, and that there is absolutely no evidence that atoms exist. And that is what we call fundamental truth number 3. The key difference between the model Dustin says correctly represents the Bible and the SBVR model is the source of materiality. I'm going to have to hear from Dustin himself as to whether or not he believes everything is made up of things scientists call atoms, which are said to be 99.9999999% empty space and are beyond the limit of visible angular resolution. If Dustin does not believe in atoms being the source of materiality, he has to provide his explanation for what he thinks is. My position is that the smallest anything breaks down to is a pixel and not an atom. And the human eye is only able to see down to 160th of a degree. And after that, the only way to see something smaller is to use imaging systems to capture a magnified image. And then that has to be displayed on a screen that has limited in its size in pixels per square inch. Quite truly, the smallest perceivable thing is a pixel, and there is no possible way to see anything the size of a quote-unquote atom, because its said size is smaller than the hard limit of angular resolution and the wavelength of light itself. The position Dustin argues for is that Earth has a solid dome, and that the dome is a physical structure, while proponents of the dome will argue that to have a gas pressure, there must be a container, but they will ignore pressures within a container are always the same pressure everywhere. They completely ignore that pressure at sea level is 14.7 psi, and that at 250,000 feet, the air pressure is 0. And that weather systems are a result of different air pressures, and that wind blows, yes, in all directions. History shows us that this was introduced, and what they have commonly termed as the word firmament, to the KJV Bible that created the paradigm of Earth being an enclosed container and turned that word firmament into a physical material structure. Radical material reductionists have latched on to both spaceball models of Earth made up of atoms, and they have also turned what the Bible calls rakia into a solid dome made of atoms as well. I will show that this is nothing more than a false dichotomy set up to keep the truth of the supernatural virtual reality from you, with only wrong choices. Whether from the Jesuits, Freemasons, or the cults of science, you will only find wrong answers. Tonight, I offer the stereographic biblical virtual reality where miracles truly take place, and I should know because I am one. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight, to Dustin especially for joining, Jason, thank you for moderating, and especially all the glory and credit goes to the Father, Yahawah, and his Son, King Yahawashai.
All right. Well, thank you for your introduction. That was fantastic. Dustin, you have a presentation, right?
I do. Yeah. Can you open my screen share?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me know when that's up.
All right. I'm going to see how this goes, everybody. Right there, your screen share is coming, and all right. Yeah, it's filling the whole screen right now, but you are presented.
Okay. So I have a post at the Serapeum for those who want to follow along my hidden history and science and theology archive website of all the stuff that's disappearing from the internet. It's titled Sky Dome, the Firmly Solid Firmament. And I just want to go through a couple of major points in this time. I'm hoping to keep it a short debate, but we'll see. These things do stretch out. So biblically speaking, when we consider the following verses from Scripture, we come to an inevitable conclusion. The scriptural writings, the writer's understanding of the firmament was a solid, firm, tangible thing. And it's unquestionably hard, as in Job 37:18. It's firm, as in Proverbs 8:28. It's supporting the waters above, as in Genesis and Psalms. Attached to the earth, as in Amos, within which Yahweh placed the sun, moon, and stars, Genesis, Psalms. And upon his throne sits, that's where we see the aurora borealis, by the way, his footstool right above the firmament, and below that is the aurora. And this is a very important issue to Yahweh that we get it correctly. And I understand that firmament is not an original Bible word. We'll get to that in just a second, because the original word was not obviously firmament. But I want to cover a couple of things here. First, Job 28:24, for he looketh to the ends of the earth and seeth under the whole heaven. There's also other verses, Jesus would see the whole world when he returns, or he was taken to a high place, could see every kingdom and tempted by Satan, etc. That doesn't work over a curve, obviously. Job 37:3, he directeth it under the whole heaven, and is lightning unto the ends of the earth. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is it that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened, or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for glory. By the way, sons of God, same term B'nai Elohim used in Genesis 6. They are, in fact, fallen angels, not bad or good men. That whole theory's out too. But that's a different debate. Job 38:13 here. that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. So that we have a very flat, firm foundation of this world. And then on that also we have a flat or a domed, firm firmament. Genesis 1, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And there was a division also of the waters from the waters. So just for those who are not kind of aware of some of the verses in the Bible, it's clearly pointing to a flat cosmology. I mean, a lot of people argue with that. If you actually look it up, Rob Skiba did a pretty good job of kind of demonstrating what it would look like. This is basically our world from our limited understanding and the ability to test and repeat and scientific method and all that. But anyway, so the actual word rakia was the previous word, Strong's 7549, and it means absolutely a firm thing. It's an expanse as of ice, something that was beaten into like a bronze shield, almost beaten. Some of the other terminology that was used in the Bible. So let's just go through the definition here. I'll try to blow it up. I've got Zoom stuff in my way. It's hard to see some things. And okay. Flat expanse as of ice, compare as of base, support, compare the vault of heaven, firmament guarded as solid by Hebrews, supporting the waters above it. As of these different verses, if you guys can see that, Genesis 1:6-7, Genesis 1:8, Psalms 19:2, Daniel 12:3, a little blurry, sorry, Genesis 1:14, 15, and 17, and Genesis 1:20 and Psalms 151. They're all basically talking about this solid fixture. And to go further into that, the word rakia comes from the root racha, which can be found in several passages, including Isaiah 40:19. Like the idol, a workman casts it, and a goldman overlays it with gold and casts it for silver chains. The word overlay is the verb root racha. Racha is the process for hammering out a piece of gold or other metal into thin plates, which was then applied to a carved or molten image. Number 1639 reads, so Eleazar took the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned had offered, and they were hammered out as a covering for the altar. Here the phrase were hammered out is again the verb root racha. The gold was hammered into thin sheets, then laid over the surface of the altar. The word rachia is the noun form of the verb racha and is literally a hammered out sheet. There are some scientists who have speculated that before the flood, there was a thick sheet of waters surrounding the earth up in the atmosphere. It is then possible that the floodgates of heaven were opened at the beginning of the flood, is the collapse of this hammered out sheet of water. They think that it was then turned into it was done away with, etc. That's one of the popular theories, is that the firmament is no more, and now we have rain, etc. Anyway, this is a couple, if people want to, look at this, for example, some of the basic verses of our cosmology, including the firmament, again, some of the same verses we've mentioned. These depictions are found in some of the older Bibles, and even an old Encyclopedia Britannica that mentions there is a solid fixture at the end of the earth. But anyway, let's get to the science too. There's a whole history of how they tried to blow it up with Operations Fishbowl and such. But here's the pre-science beliefs, by the way, for those who haven't looked at this. Like before NASA, everybody believed in flat world with dome on top. Everybody. Basically until flat Earth, globe Earth, Rome, globe Earth, NASA. Last 500 years, basically. Here's some more examples. Even the people who believe in the turtle on top, okay, they still believed in the dome. Here's what the Freemasons believe. Flat world, dome, pillars, sun and moon inside. Some more of that. The science, sundogs, for example. It's basically repeatable with a fishbowl and lights. You can just turn the fishbowl upside down and you can see how a firmament would create these. You can just go look up sundogs all over the place. They exist and they're not hard to reproduce. These are a little bit more difficult. Double rainbow circles. This is a doozy. It kind of wows the mind. So note, not only is it in the shape of a circle, because that's what a firmament would create with this sort of light refraction, but note the inverse colors of those different shades. So they're inverted because it's a reflection of the actual rainbow. So you're getting the rainbow, and then you're getting the inverted reflection in the firmament. And both of those are refracting out. So you can see these as well. Let's see. It's a big post. Takes a while. Here's another one where someone's skydiving. They see a full circle rainbow with a reversed and inverted rainbow on the outside. This is only possible with a firmament. You would need a glass physical dome or something very similar, perhaps a thin sheet of water. Whatever it is, we don't know, but you would need something like that in order to create this. And this is reproducible with small domes. Double rainbows, same thing, same concept, a lot easier to find, of course, or to get your own photograph or something. Again, inverted colors. Let's see. We could go into the theories about what it is. I don't really, want to speculate. I'd rather stick to what we know. Yes, it is an enclosed system. There is gas pressure, which requires pressure. Gravity does not exist, but density does. That's why within the dome, within the pressure, there are different levels of gas. Just like if you were to pour, a simple experiment people can do at home with liquids is syrup and water and vinegar and different things. And they usually will separate into different layers, even if you shake them, because of the different densities. It works that way with gas. Obviously, wind shakes it up a little bit, but densities matter and heavier gases settle. Even Sci News is saying that there is an impenetrable barrier 11,500 kilometers above the Earth. Fox News says it's just an electron barrier, but it's like running into a glass wall in space. And rockets never actually go straight up, except that one that just hit rock solid something and stopped. The rest of them all curve like this because they go into, until the Elon Musk ones that are basically mostly fake, but they come back down and land again. The reusable nonsense, they're going up all the time. But these old rockets, they basically all ended up in Point Nemo, the furthest point from land, what we call the graveyard of rockets. And in conclusion, even as Tesla said, the Earth is also a machine. It's a Tesla coil. The sun and moon are powered wirelessly. Where's the part? He basically said the stars are within the firmament, or the stars are attached to the firmament. So even Tesla believed, in fact, in the firmament. There's a lot more in terms of, people breaking this down, the etymology, the science, more visual examples. I could show you some rainbow videos, but that's pretty much the evidence for the firmament. And of course, God said there's a firmament. So I take that too.
Okay, is that the end of your presentation?
We can go into the 24-hour sun. How long do I have left?
That is about 10 minutes right there. You got lots of time.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so 24-hour sun, I'll just go ahead and get ahead of this and we'll save time. Absolutely debunked. They are absolutely wrecked in every way possible. I even debated Austin Whitsitt on this topic. Even Flat Earth Dave was defending them and has now backtracked and said it is in fact fake. I tore those guys apart. Jaron will not debate me. Austin backed away. Even with Flat Earth Dave trying to defend him, this thing is dead on arrival, and it took us 1 month to BTFO NASA. You're very welcome for that. Me and about 10 other people are responsible for that. All glory to Yahweh. We backed down the big guys for you. We took them on and we won. And that's our power as a community when we call out the fake news nonsense of NASA. So basically, those guys are just astronauts of a different flavor. They're like trailer park astronauts, poor versions. But it is, again, fake news, controlled opposition. And we can go into a number of things that even after the debate with Austin still stand, despite what people seem to be thinking, like popular opinion, some of his audience. Again, the footprint gate stood. Duffy drone gate, that was debunked. Vape gate stands. He was, in fact, caught lying with vape to fake his cold breath. That was seen on video by probably millions of people at this point. No one's ever going to believe this nonsense. They're all caught lying. Even the pastor the so-called, he's a Jew, but the so-called pastor who set this up, Will Duffy, was in fact on camera teaching that it's okay to lie. So I don't know about that. God hates liars. I'm a pastor too, a real one. McShadowgate stands. There's still a number of issues with the shadows, even if you allow for, yes, you can make shadows diverge by getting close to them and creating an optical illusion, and getting close to the ground makes it worse. That happens, but some of these things are pointing in different directions from a span of 2 feet. Doesn't make any sense unless there's a light somewhere very close. So those are, there's even missing shadows that should be there and are not. So some of these things still stand. There are a number of time anomalies, repeating CGI assets where we busted them lying about the mountains, the missing camp. There's a bunch of stuff that's still going wrong with this. And I'm waiting for rebuttals. I'm asking Austin all the time, look, I need evidence to see if this is rebutted, because I'd like to believe you. I'd like to defend you. I need ammo for it. So I just want to basically put this out there. This thing is dead. We killed it for sure. So if you want to go down the Jaron debunked model, that's fine. But I mean, Jaron hides from this. He's not going to back you up on it. That's it, I guess.
All right. Make it.
That's great.
I did make a song about it, though. So if anybody wants to check that out, it's called The Final Experiment, a.k.a. Final Deception. It's in both rap and country.
All right. Well, Ron, are you ready?
Yeah. Thank you, Dustin. And so basically, again, our side of this, the stereographic biblical virtual reality, is a non-materialistic one. So first, I'd like to start off by showing that the light was created on the first day. And Yahawah said, let there be light, and there was light. And Yahawah saw the light and that it was good. And Yahawah divided the light from the darkness. That was on day 1. And it wasn't until we get down to day 4. Yahawah then created the great lights, the 2 lights in the firmament, to rule over the night and to rule over the day, which is the sun and the moon. So right off the top of this debate, I would like to show that there's no possible way in the pressurized pizza dome for there to be night and daytime without having light, unless you're in a stereographic virtual reality. What I'd like to start off by saying, as I leave the model of our stereographic biblical virtual reality on the screen, you can see this at Andrew Marsh. I'd just like to state that this is a model of our circle of sight, completely matched in the book of Enoch. I will get to that. I'm going to let this run. It's also close to Jerusalem. This is what Jerusalem would see. I can switch it to the equinox, which absolutely does not work on a pressurized pizza dome, because the sun rises due east and sets due west everywhere on the world. And with the sun circling, that would never be possible using geometry. Genesis 1 insists that the stars and the sun are placed in the firmament. Okay. Now in Hebrew, there's actually a special way for us to say we would want to put something in a box, something inside of a fridge. And that letter or prefix would be the word ba, right? And I'm using Paleo Hebrew, ba, and the Yiddish use words like bet, and they make all these other things up. I won't do any of that here. So if I wanted to write in Hebrew the adjective for inside, I would use ma, or underneath, I would use the word mitika, or I would actually use the word matzah. So why is this important? Well, Dustin's entire argument hinges upon the fact that he says the word firmament means a hard dome. How would the birds and the sun and the moon fly within an impenetrable solid dome? Clearly, the Bible will show that it states that the word rakia actually means vast open expanse. And it can in no way mean a hard solid dome. Genesis only uses the prefix ba, meaning in, proving that the word firmament means sky, and that the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the birds all fly in the firmament, or the better translation, rakia, or the expanse. And if you actually wanted to use the word under the dome, you would have to use mitika or the word matzo. So if the word firmament meant dome, why did none of the Bibles actually use the word dome in them? The change was, yes, the word to firmament from rakia was an innovation by the Jesuits, who have inundated the church for hundreds of years, if not thousands. How about the King James 1611 Bible? Why did they not use the word dome? How about then we look at the corrected King James 2 version that was given the name Modern King James Version, or MKJV, of the Bible, that was created in the 1970s. The MKJV was an attempt to correct the King James Version by studying the original languages. Within this book, they actually don't use the word firmament or dome. They actually use the word expanse. So let's get into the actual scriptures. Let's start off with the book of Enoch, the righteous scribe who was so righteous that he was taken virtually, supernaturally from this realm. It says here this is the first law of the luminaries, the luminary, that of the sun. It has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets. And the moon also rises and sets in these portals. And the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, all following each other. And we can easily show that it was Andrew Marsh's sight. It was exactly this program that Enoch was sat down in front of, right? And he wrote down to the best of his ability exactly what he saw. Again, this is in Jerusalem because this is a biblical cosmological debate. And if I pause it here, what I want to show you is that this model is giving you the analemma, the figure 8 that's formed, the tilt of the sky with the sun, the luminaries, and all the stars doing equidistant circles around every observer. When we count the different gates, we find that we match Enoch perfectly with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right down to the fact that Enoch spoke about the sun going 15 days out and then turning about its face to travel back 15 days to the end of this gate. It perfectly comports with reality. So let's move on past the book of Enoch. Again, we talked about there's no possible way to be on a pressurized pizza dome where everything needs to be material, physical, or made of atoms. We're going to find out when we do the rebuttal if Dustin believes in atoms or not. But as far as I can tell, the only way you can create night and day without the sun, moon, and stars is inside of a virtual reality. How about having the earth hang upon nothing? Job 26:7. How come no flat earth or a pressurized pizza domer can possibly even begin to scratch the surface of how the earth could be hung upon nothing? Well, looks like Andrew Marsh completely figured that out for us. What we have here is the earth hanging upon nothing. Imagine that. Let's keep going. Let's get into the actual study and talk about the word firmament. Okay, so it says in the beginning, Yahawah created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the spirit of Yahawah was hovering over the surface of the waters. Okay, interestingly enough, it says then, and Yahawah said, let there be an expanse, an open area between the waters to separate the waters from the waters. And so Yahawah made the expanse and separated the waters beneath it from the waters above. And it was so. And Yahawah, check this out, he called the expanse sky. I would like for Dustin and anyone else that believes in the pressurized pizza dome explain to me why it didn't say, and Yahawah created the dome. It does not work in this translation, and we're going to keep going. That's just the first one. So Yahawah made the expanse, separated the waters from beneath it and the waters from above it, and it was so. And Yahawah called the expanse sky. Right? He called it sky. He didn't call it dome. He didn't call it a firm dome. That is what eisegesis is. It's somebody taking root words and then trying to twist them. They're not actually looking. The honesty of someone that's upholding the truth and the word of the Creator will actually take you to the different definitions and usages of the word. Right? Look at this one. It says, and Yahawah said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky. So it says in. It doesn't say under. It doesn't say above. It says in, and let them serve as lights in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth. And it was so. This does not say that he created a dome and then stuck sun, a moon, and stars in them. It's impossible. And we're going to get down to physical observations that debunk that as well. And he made the stars also. And Yahawah said, set these lights again in Genesis 1:17 in. He set the lights in the expanse of the sky, not in a physical solid dome. Okay. What we have is the kug, or the circle of the earth, which is the actual, again, when I go back to it, is this, the arch or the vault that has been mistransliterated by pressurized pizza domers is actually just the path of the luminaries equidistantly circling around each observer. And we could continue and we could get into actually what the meanings are. We heard Dustin touch upon it in a little bit. And again, Yahawah said, let the waters teem with living creatures and let the birds fly above. So the Creator does know how to say things that are above. Like if it was a dome above the sun and the moon and the stars, he would have said that. But he said, and let the earth in the open expanse of the sky. Again, we can see this was created on the 5th day. So let's take a look at the word rakia. It's simple, okay? Ra-kia. The definition, it says right here, expanse. Now, sure, they've tried to create a false dichotomy where they want you to believe that you're either in a pressurized pizza dome or you're on a spinning sphere flying through infinite outer space. This is how the Jesuits work. But they still do. The Creator has always guaranteed that his truth would stand firm. And it's an expanse, right? The visible arch of the sky. And again, when I show you this Andrew Marsh program, I can show you that visible arch from the sky. And these measurements are within 100th of a degree per second. So let's keep going here. Raka, we heard, right? To beat, to make broad, to spread out over into plates, stamp, stretch. Now, most of the times we're using the word rakia, right? So the arch and the vault of the sky is strong. It cannot be moved. You can't tell the sun, I want you to go back or move forward. The only one that ever had that power was Joshua and a few other very rare special pleading instances. What we know is that it's fast and it's firm and it was made correct. And it's also, how would you give an explanation of something so supernatural and powerful? Thousands and thousands of years ago. That's how powerful the scriptures are. They still gave us a way to explain that the Creator was creating what we call the rakia, okay? Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was the likeness. So we get these words like likeness or an awesome expanse, gleaming like crystal. So the word that we're trying to be told here by Dustin Nemos and the rest of the pressurized pizza domers is that the expanse is a solid physical hard dome. Well, how could you have a solid physical hard dome above all the different creatures that were created in the heavens, right? That's not what we have here, but we get 1823, we get demoth, which is the likeness, resemblance, or similitude. So we know that these scriptures are telling us that it's a representation or a likeness of. Then we get quake, right? The definition of the term quake, 7140, ice and frost, right? This is what the likeness, right, of what we were being told that the crystal or the expanse above, because there are multiple ways that the word rakia is being used and raka. Sometimes,
just to let you know that we've reached 10 minutes now. How long are we going on?
20.
We're supposed to be doing 5-minute rebuttals, right?
After this, we'll do the song and then we'll do the rebuttals. But I got 10 more minutes. I got that. That's fine.
Okay, just a second. What was that, Dustin?
No, just fine. I'm just checking for the time.
Do you want a rebuttal right now, or I was
no,
just
it's
giving
fine. I'm
heads
just checking on the time, like where we are on the time.
That was 10 minutes we were at.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the likeness of an awesome expanse. Time starts now. I got 10 more minutes. The gleaming like crystal, right? We're getting this expanse word that's being mistransliterated and misused as the word firmament. We actually find out that it actually means sundog. That's what it is. It literally says, if you search the word quake, right? Ice, frost. It literally tells you the scriptures put upon scriptures will always give you the actual truth and the evidence to show where we are and that this is an actual supernatural biblical virtual reality. Again, we move on. Ezekiel 1:26. And above the expanse over their heads was the likeness of a throne with the appearance of sapphire. Again, words like appearance, likeness, a throne of sapphires, because they weren't able to give certain types of expressions or words. The scripture still was able to translate this thousands of years ahead of its time. We're just luckily at the point now in time where we can actually explain these things with more descriptive ways. And there came a voice from above. Now we're getting words from above. So a voice somehow came from above the expanse. As Dustin Nemos will tell you, that means dome. So it somehow, the voice penetrated through the dome, or does that mean it came down from above the sky? I'm going to allow you, the audience member, to decide if you think that these words mean dome. And if it did mean dome, why are there no Bibles where it says, and I looked and saw above the dome? No, it says, and I looked and saw above the expanse and above the heads of the cherubim now, the likeness of a throne of sapphire. And again, I can show you again what this word means, and it takes you back to the sundog. Do you believe that there's a dome around the sun and the moon? Absolutely not. Those are crystals, ice, frost that are gleaming and shining like sapphire. And they also too are above the heads of the cherubim. Let's keep going here. And by the breath of Yahawashai, the ice is formed and the watery expanses are frozen. Get out of here. Now we're getting a definition from the scriptures of a place where we stand upon, where the actual oceans freeze. Now, does this mean dome? Does this say, by the breath of Yahawashai, the ice is formed and the watery dome are frozen? No, this totally is explaining the frozen oceans and lakes and rivers. It's simple, people. You won't find people that want to have this debate put the actual scriptures upon scriptures. Then the wise will shine like the brightness of the dome. Is that what we're to believe? Absolutely not. I find it absolutely ridiculous that someone would try to shoehorn the creator into a simple term like a dome. Will shine bright like the heavens or the skies. Where is the way to the home of the light, I ask, for you on the other side of the screen? Well, that's instantly understood when you know that you're in a biblical stereographic virtual reality. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Now, how could someone take this and then try to say that, oh, this was on Warner von Braun's tomb? It meant the powerful, mighty dome. How ridiculous is that? This is talking about the beautiful work of the stars and how they absolutely fantastically rotate around each observer equidistantly. It's beautiful. And they marched across, what's this? Another usage of the broad expanse of the earth. This one's literally calling the earth flat. And that's not, okay. And they marched across the broad dome, as what Dustin Nemos and people that are out here lying to you, promoting a false dichotomy, a Jesuit, Freemason, New World Order agenda, with whose clothes get hot when the land lies hushed under the south wind. Can you, like him, spread out the skies to reflect the heat of a mirror of bronze? How amazing is it that the sky itself is able to contain the temperatures and withhold the actual systems inside of an earth? Go ahead and show me a likeness model with a dome over it. Thick clouds veil him so he does not set his traverses in the vault of the heavens. This is the arch or the path of the luminaries around the observer, perfectly explained again from the book of Enoch. And we've got a few more left here, and then we'll be able to go into this. And he walks on the vault of the heaven, nor is he that walketh in the circuit. And again, I show you, this is the vault, and this is the circuit of heaven that's hung upon nothing and completely explains what Enoch showed. Okay, so when I say that Enoch explained perfectly the laws of the sun and the rising of the stars and all the luminaries, and that's on a flat, fixed earth, and they rotate around each observer, this is what I mean. This is the stereographic biblical virtual reality. And we will be able to get into more of our biblical debate points, and we'll have our rebuttals after we go to a song break. So that's the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, that was just short of 16 minutes. Let's get y'all back on the screen for a second. And
so do we do Dustin's rebuttals or mine? Who wants to go first?
Well, did you want to take a song break now and come back for the rebuttals?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's let that one soak in, and we'll be right back, everyone. And we are back. I'll join you guys here. So, how about you guys outline quick what kind of a format that you want to do right here for the rebuttals and all that, and then I'll hold you to it.
I think we're just going to do 5 minutes rebuttals and it's over, right?
Okay, so I guess you go first. I've got points that I'd like to talk about with what you presented. Do you want to talk about any of the things that I presented?
We can do a little back and forth afterwards, but I've got some rebuttal points ready if it's my turn.
Sure.
Okay, so to get out of the way, I mean, I don't. Some of the terminology you're using, hologram, I guess, is basically where you're getting, or simulation theory is what I'm taking away from it. I don't know if that's exactly what you're laying down, but our universe is electric. That doesn't make it fake. The firmament is no exception. Heaven is above the dome, and the dome is Yahweh's footstool. His voice can certainly reach us through that if he wills it. There is indeed a dome around the sun and the moon. It's called the firmament, and the stars fit within that shape. That's why we don't always have the same stars above our personal bubble. We can go south or north and find different stars outside of our typical visual range. And we can sort of travel around within that dome and prove this concept. The stars, in fact, do match a dome. The people who want to tell you the truth generally stick to the definition. If you don't mind, share my screen. And the people who don't use different translations, talk a lot, and show you cartoons. When you cite gates in the book of Enoch, I do want to ask you about that when it gets to your point, your rebuttal. What is a gate if not within a firmament? Also, rakia literally means extended surface, expanse, firmament. It is a solid expanse, not an expanse just of air and then into nothingness of space. It is a solid expanse. It is understood to be a solid expanse supporting the waters above, the vault of heaven, God's footstool, the heavens above, the waters above, etc. That's why the skies are blue in the day and dark at night, just like the oceans. There is, in fact, an ocean above your heads, and that is where heaven is. So the word rachia is unavoidably solid, and no matter which translation in the modern sense that you try to pin or use or twist this with, it will never change from being originally solid. Now, modern Bibles will say whatever they want to say. You can go to the Rome and get Bibles that literally tell you globe, but that's a lie also. Job 37:18 says, hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong as a molten glass. Let's turn on Strong's numbers. Strong, stout, mighty, strong. Okay. And what else is on there? As a molten, to pour, flow, cast, pour out. Like, remember metal? Number 3 here of the options is to be poured, to cast, molten, being firmly established. That doesn't look good for the air people who think there's no physical solid barrier. And as through looking glass, well, okay, a mirror. Well, that's where we're getting all those inverse rainbows from. Anyway, so moving to the next verse real quick. It won't take me too long to go through these anyway. Strong's numbers again. He established the clouds above when he strengthened the fountains of the deep. What are the clouds above? Okay, fine dust cloud. Okay, above. Okay, above it, basic. Established, to be strong, alert, courageous, brave, stout, bold, solid, hard. To be strong, brave, bold, to strengthen, secure, to exhibit strength, to be strong, to feel strong. This is like a playground with monkey bars, something solid. This is like a tree, something solid. Moving to the next verse, Genesis 1:6-8. Strong's numbers on. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Again, firmament. To what? God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. That's, again, waters above. Also, I want to mention there is a word in Hebrew for sky, the visible portion of our heavens. I mean, the atmosphere, basically. And it is shamayim. It is not rachia, which is a solid expanse within which is the shamayim. And I'm going to land it with this, I guess, and then I'll leave it with you with that question I asked you. Psalm 19:1, Strong's footnotes right there. I don't even need them. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, because the firmament is reflecting rainbows, stars, holding in a sun and the moon, holding in our atmosphere, and it is incredible, and we can see it all around us.
So that was the heavyweight, huh? Okay, so while you got the screen share, can you please bring back up the pictures that you had of the rainbows? Let's start there.
Oh, I'll get it back up.
Thank you. Yeah, he's got the rainbows here. And
Yeah.
Rob Skiba, I told him over and over
Everyone
again
has
that what he was doing was blasphemous. So what's really interesting about this picture, Dustin? What do you see here? What is above? What is above those rainbows? Something
Clouds.
dividing. Clouds. That's a bit of a problem if you're telling me that the reflection off the dome is causing these rainbows. That's a huge problem. You
How's
want to
that a problem?
explain to the class how the rainbow is reflecting through the clouds?
Because light can pass through water.
Oh, so the rainbow is reflecting a perfect circle through a cloud, a thick, dense cloud.
Actually, the circle is not perfect.
I think you got more too. More rainbows,
Yeah,
right?
the circle is not perfect. It is distorted because the clouds are visually distorting. Look at the bottom; you can barely see it. Look at the sides; you can barely see the bottom right, top right. You can barely see the corners, basically.
Yeah. So in your theory, there should be no clouds above the rainbow, and should be a
we
reflection.
have rainbows with clouds sometimes. It's okay. It doesn't mean that it's one or the other. It's hit or miss. It's not A or B. It sometimes works with both. If you had a perfectly cloudless sky and a rainbow, then you might have a better rainbow circle.
Sure. Okay. So what were the other points that you wanted me to address? That's the first one I wanted to tackle.
What are the gates in the book of Enoch?
That's a really simple one. If we go to my screen share, like I did show them.
And I mean, if you want to address the science points I brought up, like why the colors are inverted and such, that would be interesting as well.
I think let's start off with understanding the gates. So Enoch described 6 gates where the sun simply. So I know this isn't my chance. I'll be asking you questions. I'm going to explain yours now. So I saw 6 portals, right? A portal. This is actually
Just
the
a
area.
second. I'm having a hard time getting
No problem.
getting the share up right now.
A portal. That's a pretty easy one to explain. Did you click on my screen share at the
Do
top?
you know what a portal is, though?
So the
It's a
portal,
door.
well, in the old times, this was actually a space in the ocean where a boat would sail through, right? So what Enoch is, tell me when you're ready, Jason.
Yeah, it's up now.
So what Enoch's explaining, which I said to you, is perfectly explained by Andrew Marsh here. So he saw 6 portals or gates on the east, right? So we're actually on the west here. Let's spin around to the east, right? So this is our actual measurable, observable reality here. So on this side of the map or the model that we use, that perfectly to 100th of a degree per second explains where the luminary, the sun, the great luminary is. We've got six gates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? Maybe I'll put it under the ground so that you can see them a little better. Do you understand this?
I don't see any actual gates or doors or portals anywhere.
Okay, so Enoch
Not
said,
going
I'll say this really slowly. In Enoch, this is the first law of the luminaries, the luminary, the sun. So he's talking about what's this? The rising in the eastern portals of the heaven and the setting in the western portals. So here we go. This is the eastern side where the sun rises. There's 6 gates. The sun travels like this back and forth all year, right? This is the portals. This is the gates. It's perfectly explained by this. Here's the western side, because then he goes on to state again, and I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets. And the moon also rises and sets in these same portals. Now, unfortunately, Andrew Marsh hasn't modeled the moon's position in here. We are working on that model, and we'll be getting that very soon. So did you want me to explain something about inverted rainbow colors?
Well, I don't see any gates, portals, or doors yet. However,
So we're talking about
inverted rainbows too. Yeah.
So we're talking about the sun rising and setting, and a portal is a pathway that you could drive a boat through. Are you
Portal's
with
not
me
a
there?
pathway. A portal is a door.
Okay, you could say there are 6 doors
That is
measured
the
on
only
the horizon.
definition for which a portal. I mean, you can get the sci-fi, like you walk through into another universe stuff and modern stuff.
That's
but
not-
basically
that's not
all
what I'm
definition
saying.
Portal is a door.
Okay, well, the door in which the sun rises up out of and sets into it, it's it's really basic. A child could understand what I'm saying here.
But I don't
Dustin.
see any doors. All I see is an arc.
So the sun is arcing and it's rising, and I showed you through 6 different spots. They're delineated by these dotted lines. 1, 2, 3.
Those are not
4.
a door. It's just an arc. Like an arc is not a door. An arc is an angle adjustment.
Okay, so
That's
the sun
a
is
direction
doing
change. There's no door involved. You can do that outside with no door. You can walk in a direction change.
So Enoch was looking at the horizon, and on the east and on the west, there were 6 gates that were created that the sun rises and it spends 30 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30. It switches into the next portal, gate, or doorway measured on the horizon. This is exactly what Enoch saw. Now, if you want to bring up the screen share again and show me the inverted rainbow colors, sure, I'll look at that. But
Yeah.
in my opinion, go ahead.
I don't think you guys understand what portals are, but this is
No,
the
I don't think
rainbow
you-
inverted colors.
You just saying that shows that you are unable to grasp the idea of
Brother.
Enoch explaining where the sun rose and set
I like your cartoon, but like, there's no doors in it.
Okay. So you want me to explain how there's a rainbow reflecting off ice crystals and giving off a double rainbow? This somehow proves a dome. Again, I ask you, how is this rainbow shining, reflecting off of a dome that's underneath a thick layer of clouds? That's all we got to look at here. Case closed. So
Because it's hitting it from every angle, and the clouds
What-
are not blocking every angle. It's actually quite simple.
okay.
Light can pass, and also light can pass through clouds.
Okay, we're gonna have to stay at an impasse there. So what was your next rebuttal point, or do you want me to
Clouds,
start
unlike
bringing
the
up mine?
firmament, are not solid. I mean, I stand basically. I'm pretty happy with where we're at now.
Okay, so let's start off with my questions. So first off, I'd like you to explain, how does day and night work on the AE map? The sun circling above your head.
Sun and moon go in a circle above our head like the hands of a clock. God's celestial timepiece.
Okay, could you bring up my screen share, Jason? And this also deals with your supposed defense or debunking of the final experiment. I don't even need to go to Antarctica to debunk you. Let me know when I'm being presented here and I'll explain
Yeah,
it,
you-
Dustin.
Europe.
Okay, you see this here? We're in South America. Okay, this is the sun's path. This is sun calc. This is based on flat Earth measurements, right? You take a theodolite, you measure the angles above the Earth to the actual luminary that we call the sun. I know you're going to call it cartoons. You're going to do whatever you can because you're not going to be able to defend your case here. The sun is rising way south of east. This is what I showed Jaron 8 years ago. As it comes around, and this is today, as it goes around, it actually sets going the complete. You're telling me and everybody else that the sun is circling like this. And that's an absolute erroneous lie. And for you to state that you're here speaking for the creator and of truth, for you to see this, how do you explain that with your impossible debunked model?
All I know is that is a cartoon, and I've yet to see any actual
Cartoon?
evidence for a
This is a
24-hour sun in
measurement.
Antarctica.
This is a measurement.
There's
of
zero
observed-
actual evidence for a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. They just keep faking it. It's happened a few times. They lied. It's tore apart. There's a song about it. Like, stand on that if you want. But that's a house built on sand, bro.
Did they film in Punta Arenas the sunlight actually staying above the horizon, traveling back from west to east? Was that real too, or was that fake?
24, I don't know about that, whatever you're talking about there, but the 24-hour sun from Antarctic trip is absolutely defunct. It is
So
dead. on
you don't
arrival.
even need to
It's
go to
dead.
Antarctica. I'm showing you that the sun is already making an arc around
Bro,
what we
you're
would
showing me a
call.
cartoon. You understand that, right?
This is a
This is
model
NASA.
based on observations.
It
You
is
can
a
call it a cartoon,
cartoon.
but you're thinking of something like The Simpsons or the
Show me a
Futurama.
match in reality to your cartoon. The model is just a cartoon until it is proven, brother.
So here is your model then.
Check out the Joe Hanvey model. I mean, there's a bunch of models.
Joe Hanvey is an absolute joke. Here, I'm going to show you again. Let's do this, okay? Let's move on to this. Can you tell me where to point my pointer at the 4 corners of the earth here? Please. This is
I
your
can
model of
barely see the
reality?
cartoon. I like that's 10% of the screen. I haven't seen anything that you've shared the whole time. I can see.
Click on my
barely
screen
what
share
you're
at the
doing.
top.
That's-
At the top of the Zoom Hangout, you can see Ron's screen share. If you click on that, it'll make it larger. And you
Oh,
can
that
also zoom in on it as well.
I'm low tech, man. I
No
told you
problem.
I'm low tech. Yeah.
That's
So,
cool.
what are you talking about?
So here, this is the version of reality that you prescribe to, that you're a part of. You're stating that this is biblical, right?
I don't know. That's a cartoon. I've never seen it before in my life.
This is the AE map model with the sun circling around it. That's what you're saying is reality with the dome.
Well, the AE. No, I don't subscribe to the typical flat Earth model because it's not quite accurate. The geography is way off. Russia and Alaska are like far apart, but you can actually see them from each other. I mean,
so you're agnostic,
accurate.
you're earth shape agnostic in a biblical cosmological debate with me?
There are older and more accurate maps, but I am not going to go through the work of making a model for you on them.
Okay, so you're going to
check out like the Ebstorf map and stuff.
Call mine cartoons.
Problems even within the like the typical flat Earth map is basically a globe stretched flat. It's useful to make examples, but it's not perfect. And I don't claim to be a supporter of that model.
So let's forget what land masses are, because this is superly distorted, because actually what happens when you get past the equator is these lines of longitude actually converge back to a single point. So everything is absolutely stretched and skewed. I've been debunking this for over 8 years. So let's just take this. You're in Florida, right? You're down here, correct? Beautiful place, I bet. I hope you like it there, and I hope that you do well. If you are looking at nighttime and you want to see, so you believe that the stars are in the dome, is that correct? This is representing the dome here, right? All around the
map.
They are
set within the waters of that dome. They're not
quite in the waters of this dome,
because we see them through water.
Sure. So if you're defending the Creator and His truth, can you explain to me how it is that you can then see through Russia, right, all the way through the daylight side of the Earth? Because after the sun sets, it then circles this way in your model of reality, which is an absolute absurd joke, right? How do you then see the stars on this side of the dome, Dustin?
From Florida, you would not see you could see the southern stars as they circle around the entire flat world and in the southern so-called hemisphere, which is fake, but you will not see the same stars as in the center.
Okay, so you can't defy reality with what you're saying. If you believe that you're seeing the stars on this outer dome, you would have to be seeing through the daylight. Right?
No, you're misunderstanding me. There are different stars over there on that side of the dome from Florida where you're pointing. Florida would have its own southern stars here rotating around it.
So how many domes are there?
There's just one dome.
One dome, okay, and the stars are in it, right? You said the stars are in the dome. The sun, the moon, and the stars are in it.
They're the outer.
How is the sun and the moon in the dome if it's circling down here?
Sorry, what?
How is the sun and the moon and the stars in the dome if they're circling around here? I just don't understand how.
I mean, I suspect it's held in place by electrostatic, whatever. I don't understand the plasma part of it, but I mean, it's in the firmament, is obviously within, and we can tell that through a number of ways. And that's basically comports with what we see with the sun and moon spinning around above us with a 24-hour. Yeah, it's absolutely fits our model and reality.
So this one actually measures to 100th of a degree per second with 6 gates, perfectly matching what Enoch wrote as well. Okay, so does the sun rise and set for you?
Yeah.
It does, like this?
I don't know.
But I mean, if you stand outside and I put this on Florida where you live, this will be the exact path of what you'll see in your daytime. Right. What? Let me go to Florida.
Quite right.
This is in Israel because this is a biblical cosmological debate. Let's go here. Let's go to Florida. So this is what you'll be seeing. Let's do the equinox again, which totally doesn't work on the AE map and model because it rises everywhere due east and sets due west. So from inside of this reality here, and then we'll get to my next points. I just wanted you to see. So you'll see the sun. This is it. It'll be high above you in the sky. Right? You'll see it way up here. Here it comes. It'll come back down and then it'll set. And this model here, what you can do, Dustin, is you can actually measure these shadows and everything is actually to 100th of a degree per second, right? Again, so let me think of my other points. So you brought up Admiral Byrd. I was shocked that you would actually do that in a debate, in a biblical cosmological debate. Did you know that Admiral Byrd was a Freemason military worker? And you were,
I don't recall bringing him up, but he was involved with the Antarctic exploration. And yes, he is evil.
So you used him as an example of him blowing nukes through the dome that we just showed that isn't reality, but continue.
No, the governments of Russia and the US at the minimum tried to nuke the firmament, so to speak, during operations Fishbowl and Dominic, which by the way means of the Lord. So Fishbowl of the Lord.
You're defending biblical cosmology with Freemasonic, New World Order, Satanist, military
I'm
agents.
defending biblical cosmology with history, using examples of bad actors doing bad things to God's firmament, including trying to basically invade and monopolize Antarctica.
There's
I
no
didn't say
such
I
thing.
liked the guy.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a nuke. Galen Windsor, you can look
Big
him up.
bombs,
Everybody,
whatever.
there's no such thing as a nuke, right? They don't exist.
Well, they have
And,
big bombs, whatever you want to call
The whole entire psyop was created so that they could create this false dichotomy debate. So let's keep going. What are my other things? You brought up Aurora Borealis. Again, how is the beautiful lights of the Aurora Borealis underneath clouds as well as the rainbows? How does that prove that we have a dome?
It's just interesting that it's right under God's footstool in the center of our dome.
You also appealed to pagan cosmologies to support the fact that you think that you live underneath a physical dome. Some of the other things,
everybody agreed that it was flat with a dome until NASA.
Okay, and then here, what I'm going to show you, this is amazing. This is footage that Jason actually took. The moderator here, he's not allowed to participate in the debate. So how would you explain the clouds in front of and behind the sun here, Dustin?
A local sun within a firmament, brother. That is a very good example.
So, okay, is the sun in the dome or is it under the dome? Because the Bible explicitly states that it's in the firmament, the sky, the expanse.
Both.
This is above. It's got clouds behind it, Dustin.
Within and it's under.
Okay, now you're making hypocritical statements for the audience.
They mean
okay?
the same thing in this context. They're both. It's both.
That's
within
witchcraft, Kabbalistic. Okay, I'll just play this.
Let's work through the English on this. Say it again, slow, so I didn't miss anything.
How are the clouds in front of and behind the sun? If the sun is
I got
dome?
that part. That's clearly a local sun within the firmament. But you're saying the verses don't support that somehow, or it's Kabbalistic somehow.
I'm saying the verses explicitly teach, and not always, right? The word expanse or rakia also relates to the flat ground, frozen ice. It does not in any way, shape, or form speak of a solid dome above our heads.
No, it's the word used for firmament. It's not the word used for anything else but firmament.
Okay, well, we see the clouds in front of and behind the sun. These clouds, are they above?
Proving me right.
Are these clouds above the dome? You can say that, but that's not right.
The clouds are also like the sun and the moon within the firmament. In fact, here, this is my model right here. The cloud and the moon are within there, and this, like, you see the double lights right here, the double suns is another phenomenon we get sometimes. I didn't even bring up because there is in fact a firmament. You can get two suns out of that firmament with a reflection.
That's crazy. There's no such thing as two suns.
Yes, there is two suns. Look it up.
There's never been two
Your
suns.
model is wrecked, bro.
Okay, well, let's continue.
It's like concave Earth. I wrecked you like I did TFE. With respect, this is dead. Are we going to go in circles about how a sun within the firmament is not within the firmament, and how
the clouds
got to be under or within?
No, it completely comports with the stereographic biblical virtual reality. So again, did I get an example? So could you explain to us, do you believe in atoms? Are you a material reductionist?
I'm not an expert on physics, so I'm not going to comment. I don't.
What do you believe materiality is?
I don't believe anything from NASA that I don't test myself, and I've never seen an atom.
Okay, so you're willing to state
Adam and Eve.
Atom or atom, right? What are we?
Adam,
what are you trying to
the man.
Okay, yeah, because there's no such thing as an atom, right? It's non-reality. But the sun definitely has clouds in front of and behind it, right? Showing that it's not stuck in some kind of a dome. It's in like the sky.
Debate. Well, how would it be?
What?
Okay, how would there be clouds behind it if it in fact was not within a dome?
Okay, you were saying that the sun is in a dome. The sun, moon, and stars are in the dome. This is showing the sun has clouds in front of it and behind it. It's okay. I can understand. It might take you also. It might take you a little while to figure this out.
You see how they could both fit inside of that?
So if the sun was in a dome, it could not have clouds behind it. No, it's impossible.
Why?
I'm sorry. And the moon also does this as well. A solid dome would not have clouds going through it.
Why? Okay, so if I had a sun within this solid, let's use this bottle cap as the sun within the solid firmament, and my fingers as both behind and a front, boom. Look at that. Clouds, my fingers in front and behind of the sun at the same time. It is magic.
Okay, well, I guess we've answered So you don't believe in atoms? So that's good.
Seems like a different debate.
Are you willing
But as
to?
far as the firmament debate goes, you've been hounding me for weeks. I think we've settled it, brother.
Okay, so did you want to make your conclusion?
I win. All glory to Yahweh.
That's your conclusion? Okay, I'll read
Thank
mine.
you for your time.
So here's my conclusion. Are you ready, Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just make sure this has enough time to play. People can watch the beautiful clouds in front of them behind the sun. So you've had the opportunity to hear.
Do you want a screen share or?
I've been screen sharing this whole entire time.
No, I took it off for a little bit. You want? Okay, let me get your
Have you
screen
not
share
had
up.
the
I
screen
just-
share on the whole time? I hope people
No,
have
I've
been.
had it on.
I hope so. Because
I've been trying to get you guys on the screen as well, but
okay, that's fine. The evidence of the screen share was more important.
let's get this screen share going. Screen share is on.
Okay, conclusion. You've had the opportunity to hear two completely different models of reality. Both say that they support the true model of reality spoken of in the Bible. Either way, good news, everybody. Good news, Dustin. The Bible wins. But the only one model actually comports with reality. You've learned what the original words used in the Bible actually mean. And you now have the option to choose whether the Bible describes an earth as a pressurized pizza dome or a stereographic biblical virtual reality. The real difference comes down to what you understand materiality to actually be. If you believe in atoms and that they're real, and that this is where a person will get stuck and they will not be able to comprehend that the luminaries are rotating around an observer fixed on a flat stationary plane, and that the luminaries are rising from and setting into Earth in a person's own circle of sight as laid out in the book of Enoch and multiple places in the 66 book canon. That is, unless an observer is north of 66.5 degrees north latitude or south of 66.5 degrees south latitude, in which case the sun will do circles around the observer without setting for 6 months of the year reciprocally. That is the phenomena that the final experiment has capitalized on as part of a false dichotomy psyop to attempt to connect the Bible to an impossible model of plain Earth, and is being used to attempt to discredit both Earth being a plane and the Bible at the same time. The problem Dustin has is that the model he is working so hard to attach to the Bible has been publicly falsified and will be part of a large mainstream propaganda agenda that will say that the 24-hour sun debunked flat Earth, and because of people like Dustin, that model that has been debunked is supposedly the true biblical cosmology. They will also say that the Bible has been debunked. Absolutely nothing can be further from the truth. There is a model that was able to make predictions accurate to 1/100 of a degree per second for the azimuth and the altitude of the sun at Union Glacier Camp. And that model, you guessed it, is the SBVR. The list of things that only comport with the SBVR model are incomprehensible with the pressurized pizza dome model, and there is a large list. But here I will outline 10 key topic points. 1, the sun rises and sets. 2, Earth has 4 corners. 3, Rakia does not mean a solid structure, but rather a vast expanse. 4, day and night were created on day 1 of creation, and the luminaries created on day 4. 5, miracles. Walking on water to wine, passing through solid walls, being taken up into heaven, resurrections, the parting of the Red Sea. 6, Earth hangs upon nothing. 7, being able to switch from immortal to mortal and go back to immortal. 8, reincarnation. 9, the waters of Noah's flood being able to recede. And 10, being able to move mountains with our faith. These are only some of the supernatural proofs comporting with the SBVR model. Also, be able to mention that there's clouds in front of the sun and the moon and trees being filmed behind the sun as it rises. I leave it up to you, the audience, to decide whether you believe in atoms and that you live in a pressurized pizza dome, or the latter, that you live in a supernatural stereographic biblical virtual reality. All the glory will always be given to the Creator Yahawah and His King, Yahawashai. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you very much, Dustin, for taking the time to defend your pressurized pizza dome. Thank you, Jason, for moderating and doing it without inputting anything to do with anything. And I appreciate everybody in the chat that commented, and even the trolls and shills. I hope you enjoyed getting to learn what the actual biblical cosmology looks like.
All right. Any last words, anybody?
Indeed. Thank you. It was great. And I can't wait to post it.
Yes.
All right. Well, till next time, y'all.